Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Seth from Engage Podcast. Today, we go over a quote by Dr. Tony Evans. He's a pastor in Dallas, Texas, about worrying and anxiety. It's going to be a great, very deep quote, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope you do too. All right, our quote today comes from Dr. Tony Evans. He's a pastor at Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship in Dallas, Texas. He says, "Worry is a down payment on a problem you may never have." Worry is a down payment on a problem you may never have.
First, he's one of my favorites.
He's great.
I love listening to him. He's a powerful speaker. He paints pictures with his words. Great communicator. So if you have not checked out Tony Evans, I'd encourage you to go online and check out some of his sermons. Worry, I think, grips us all. And I'm going to use worry and anxiety interchangeably. I don't know if I should, but I am. Jesus speaks a lot about worry and anxiety in the Gospel of Matthew, in the Sermon on the Mount. He says, "Do not be anxious for your life as to what you shall eat or what you shall drink, for your life is greater than those things." Then he brings up some illustrations. He says, "Look at the birds of the air. Your life is worth more than they." And he says, "Which of you, by being anxious, can add a single cubit to his lifespan? And why are you anxious about clothing? Observe how the lilies of the field grow, and they do not toil or they spin." And he goes through and teaches on this until he gets to verse 33. And he says, "Seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." I love that verse. It's one of my favorite verses. It's one of those verses that you can place on top of a lot of things. And I think what he wants us to do is place this on top of those different things that he was just mentioning. The material things, money, problems, the things that we tend to worry about. And he's saying, seek first his kingdom. The first thing that we should seek, more than clothing and more than food and more than all those things, is his kingdom. Because worry and anxiety is a thief, and it's a robber. And that's what it does. It robs you of your peace. It's a thief, and it robs those around you of their peace also, because your worrying and your anxiety has a ripple effect on your family. And if you don't think that they notice or are not affected by this, they are.
So what do you say is the difference between being worried about something versus being prepared for something? Like, where's that line?
Yeah, that's a good question. You should definitely prepare. You prepare as much as you can possibly prepare. You prepare with everything that God has given you, and using all of your skills and even the skills of other people. So you prepare as if it depends on you, and you pray as if it all depends on God. So it's this duality, where on the one hand, you're busy working hard and preparing, but then on the other hand, you are resting in God's care, knowing that you're doing the best you can, and hopefully he's going to, guide you through the process. And even if the trap door opens up, he's going to be there to help you.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, another good example would be being prepared is planning for tomorrow, but fear and anxiety rob you of your today.
Mm-hmm.
So, but because I know I wouldn't say I struggle with anxiety or like fear of tomorrow, but I definitely I've talked to people who I would say do, and I think one of the biggest things that they say and that they notice is that they're so worried about tomorrow that they don't really live for today, and and I know this is true for me, but most of the time, everything that I prepare for tomorrow, like the things I don't plan for, are the things that actually happen. You know, so then I almost get mad because that's like, great, I wasted all that time yesterday planning for something that didn't even happen. The one thing I didn't plan for was the thing that actually happened. So it's kind of almost counterproductive in a way too.
What about in college or high school? Did you have any classes that made you anxious? And let's say that exam or that final was at the end of the week,
Yeah,
and for 2 weeks or a whole week or whatever before,
the night before.
you were so anxious about it, right? It just weighed on you until it was done.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. I had a lot of those, and yeah, and it would make me so mad when I'd prepare for a test and half of what I studied for wasn't even on the test.
What about with preaching?
Oh man, yeah. The especially the night before giving a sermon, going over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a fun. Only people who preach a sermon know what that feeling feels like, or people who have given like a public
Speeches.
speech to it too.
It has a way of hanging over your head all week,
Yeah,
every moment until it's done.
and then with like a blink of an eye, it's over. You know, weddings are like that too. There's so much preparation for weddings, and then before you know it, it's done. Like it goes by with blink of an eye. Yeah. So, worry is a down payment on a problem you may never have. Any last thoughts?
Well, I like how Jesus wraps it up here in verse 34 of chapter 6. Do not be anxious for tomorrow will care for itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. So I like that because he's not saying there's not worries or issues in a day, throughout the day. But anxiety is like piling it on. You know, it's robbing you of your peace, robbing your family and friends of their peace because they're experiencing your troubling spirit. So each day has enough trouble of its own. I would say try to find the peace and tranquility in the day that God has for you or in the moments God has for you, because if you continue to live every day with anxiety and worry, you're really just wasting your life away. You know, it's those little in-between moments where you can find some kind of peace in your life and be thankful that God has given you the abundant blessings that he's given you.
Yeah, all good stuff. All right, well, I don't have anything else to add. We want to know what you, as a listener, we want to know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What are some ways that you see worrying about tomorrow getting in the way of today? Let us know your story. Let us know how this podcast or these quotes are affecting you. Or just give us a good, just a hi. You know, we love hearing from you. If you go under our little information box down below, you will see all the links to our website, our donation page. If you feel gracious, you want to support us, that's where you can do that. And also there's our link to our SoundCloud page as well. Find us, all of our information is there. All right, guys. Well, that's all I have for today. Hope you have a great week. We will check it back with you next week.